give me your loyalty, 'cause I'm taking the world, you'll see. They'll be calling me, they'll be calling me royalty. Best to give me your loyalty, 'cause I'm taking the world, you'll see. They'll be calling me, they'll be calling me royalty. Say I'm dangerous, 'cause I broke all the cages. No, I will sit and take it. No, no. They left me for dead, I guess I'll never learn. Every time I break, there's just more pain to burn. They'll never, never, never learn. Till the battle's won, till kingdom come. I'll never run. Best to give me your loyalty, 'cause I'm taking the world, you'll see. They'll be calling me, they'll be calling me royalty. Best to give me your loyalty, 'cause I'm taking the world, you'll see. They'll be calling me, they'll be calling me royalty. They'll be calling me royalty.
after the chaos that we witnessed in Japan last week and the week before, we finally head back over the pond, over the Pacific Ocean, that is, to America, the American continent once again, and our first visit to the US of A. And what better place to visit than the West Coast and the world-famous Sonoma Raceway. We are here with the Open Wheel for Amateur Series. We are in round 4, and what a battle we have in the championship coming up in these next few rounds. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Pony Express Sim Racing channel. My name is Sam Cooper Bennett, and as your host here tonight, and joining me in the booth once again is one Mr. JR Copper. Keep getting his name wrong. Anyway, we are here for this one. I think JR might be back in just a second. He's gone to get a drink, but he should be back in a second now.
I am back, Sam. Thank you.
And yeah, JR, it's fourth round out of a lot more rounds to go. We've had 3 very exciting rounds already. Sonoma is going to be a bit of a different test here tonight.
Definitely. It's not like any track we've been to so far. It's a different course. It's got a lot of different elevation changes, a lot of off-camber and weird-shaped corners. So this is going to... And again, we get to one of those tracks where there's no room for runoff. You're off here, you're in the grass, it's all over. Yeah, and this time it's not walls, although there are abundance of walls and tire barriers here. But there is sand, there is grass. It's a very different feel to when you go off. If you get beached in that sand or in the very few gravel spots on this track, you're going to find yourself beached and out of the race. Yeah, it's very easy here to end up towing and have a race come to a quick end. But it also provides for a lot of action. These guys are going to be beating and banging on cars and each other throughout the entire evening. 15 drivers set to take off here tonight for the first race tonight, which is 25 laps, and obviously the second race will be 25 minutes, not 25 laps. 35 minutes will be the second race. Will be an inverted grid from the winner down to, I believe, 8th place. So very inverted field for the second race. But with regards to the championship, that's starting to take shape now. Championship leader so far this season is David Lehman. But JR, just going to get your point on it. Only 20 points separating the top 3 after only three rounds here tonight. Yeah, so we're 3 rounds in, and we have a close battle. Like you said, David Lehmans is leading. Steven Rubens is 9 points behind, and followed closely behind him is Mark Dillon Jr. And the surprise of the season so far is our returning champion last year, Mr. Dennis Diaz, is a full 59 points behind, 60 points behind our leader, David Lehman, after 3 rounds. So if Mr. Diaz wants to repeat as champion, he has his work cut out for him the rest of the season. Obviously, like in Endurance for Amateurs, this series does have, I believe they do have 2 drop rounds. So you got to think that Scuba will be a drop round for Diaz. So probably won't be in too much trouble as things stand right now, but any more bad results here will result in further with a bigger job he has to do with regards to catching up that lead. But even with a drop round, 60 points is a big gap to make up. Yeah, that's a lot of work he's going to have to do. You know, those drop rounds are nice, but you don't want to use those this early in the season and leave yourself no room for error, which is where Mr. Diaz has left himself. And as you can tell, even in qualifying already, he's having a struggle just on his outlap. So maybe the pressure's starting to get to him a little bit. And I do apologize. He's just disappeared for me, so he's having even more issues here. And we'll keep an eye on that situation there, JR, because he's completely blinked out, and I think he's about to throughput. Yep, I believe so too. Oh. Dennis has had connection issues in the past, and I think he was hoping to have all those sorted out, but maybe they're they've come to rear their ugly head again here this evening. Hopefully not, because we really want to have Dennis back in this series. He is one of the top drivers, and he's always fun to watch.
And yes, we're looking at the man that's in second place in the championship right now. That's Steve Rubens. Now, Rubens put on one heck of a fight in the feature race last week. He's a very capable driver. There's a reason why he's up in second place, only 9 points back so far this season, JR. He's looking to build on that tonight and hopefully finally get that first win of the season.
Yeah, he had a great race last week. He was up there all race long, battling, and very clean. Just at the very end there, just couldn't pull it out last week. But hopefully, he has everything together tonight and can come out with the win. That'd be great for Steven, not so great for the competition.
Yeah, as Steve is out on his timed run right now. Dennis Diaz is back out on track again after what looked like a connection issue, which seems to be okay right now. Another driver that's returning. He won, I think he won one race at Suzuka. I think it's Zachary Steck is back here again tonight as well, JR.
Yeah, it's nice to see Zachary back. He missed last week, so it'd be nice to see what he can do after a week off. Hopefully he can be out there and be competitive. He has that nice paint scheme. I really like that Alpine paint scheme on that F3 car.
Yeah, looking very smart out there as always. The Alpine cars look nice. I do particularly like them on the LMP car that they have in the WEC. That paint scheme on that I think it's an LMP1 now, right? They have an LMP1 car out there now.
I believe you're correct.
Yeah, so the Alpine paint scheme, I love that. It's going to be nice. Going to be looking forward to see how it looks on the brand new Formula 1 car coming up in a few weeks' time. So I've got to keep an eye peeled for that one. But anyway, enough about paint schemes. Zachary Steck is out on his outlap. We're going to go to Steve Rubens, though, because he's about to finish his flying lap. And he goes second fastest because David Lehman goes straight to the top of the pile.
David is, as always, on his game, and he is fast here tonight. That, again, was first lap. Hopefully, Steven can claw back a little bit this time, because you do not want to start off being 1 second a lap slower than David Lehman. He will make sure you pay for that.
Yeah, he will. As we've got about 6 minutes left in qualifying, so lots of time for people to get their laps in. 125.335 is the benchmark right now. Stephen Thompson just going up to third. Zachary Maxson is in P4. Now, Maxson's had a bit of a struggle so far this season. We'll be looking to get a better run as this season goes on. Daniel Barnett in his KISS-inspired machine is in P5 right now. Time's coming in thick and fast. Brad McCombs, a driver we know very well, a driver I know very well, as Jay Smart making his debut here tonight, goes up to second place. So Jay Smart having a good run so far.
Yeah, I'm not real familiar with Jay, but that's great to see a new name here tonight. Be curious to see how he handles himself. Really good time, though.
Yeah, another championship challenger there. Mark Dillon going up to third place with a 126.371 is in third place. Not anymore. Steve Rubens goes back up to third place after completing the second lap.
Yeah, these guys are starting to find their groove, and that second lap is appearing to be a lot faster than the first one, so be curious to see how Mr. Diaz pulls off his second lap tonight.
Now we're just going to take a look at him right now as he's coming through the S's. This is well, as far as S's go, this is a very unusual lot of S's because they go through the first part of them, then they have a chicane midway through them, which leads them on down to through the kink, which is usually flat out, but they're just speeding up as they come down to the hairpin, which is not the long hairpin that you see on the NASCAR track. It's actually the shortened hairpin, which goes through what looks like a parking lot.
It is a different design track. Let's just put it that way. It's got a lot of unique configurations possible, so they use this track for a lot of different things, so it does get to look confusing at times.
And it's not a parking lot. I just got to correct myself right there. It's actually the staging lanes for the drag strip that is in the middle of the track as well. So where they go through that shortened hairpin, that is the staging lanes for where they line up to where dragsters like to line up and do their runs.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct there, Sam.
Carl Smith goes for a wild ride going onto the drag strip area and completely rips the left-hand side of his car off as his wheels are actually waving hello at me. Here's a driver that struggled last week and, well, he had a bit of an indifferent night last week. Zachary Nürnberger out on track in his, his twin-painted Dallara F3 car.
Zach with it always an exciting and unusual paint job.
Yeah.
He likes to make sure that you notice which car is his, that's for sure.
Problem is, he doesn't run that paint scheme in Endurance for Amateurs. He actually runs a relatively normal paint scheme. It's actually Keith Roycroft that runs the split paint scheme in Endurance for Amateurs. So it's good to see teammates sharing paint schemes amongst each other. Now, times have come in thick and fast. Now, Dennis Diaz, we just looked at him right there. He's in P4, but he snuck under the radar right there. Alexander Hammonds has got himself onto the pole here with a 124.492.
Yeah, Alex with a great lap. And Jay Smart managed to hold on. That is a nice first time out for Jay Smart. Followed by David Lehman, and our defending champion, Dennis Diaz, is up there. So it's great to see Dennis found his pace. And be curious to see how those guys get along here the first couple laps.
As we're looking at Alexander Hammonds actually completing his second lap. So that was only his first lap, putting in that 124. See if he can improve on that one as he comes through the chicane midway through the S's and down through the kink towards the hairpin in the middle of those staging lanes, as I already mentioned. Both the System X cars, Brad McCombs and Tony Watson, not putting in times, and we've already seen Carl Smith wreck his car while he was going onto the drag strip as Hammonds crosses the line. And maybe he's already finished his 2 laps because that one didn't count with a time. So probably
just getting a little bit of extra practice.
Yeah, why not? I mean, we've got plenty of time on the board. We might as well just get those extra laps in. And Hammonds was another driver that impressed us last week. Had some very good runs, just not the luck he needed, though.
Yeah, unfortunately, last week's Scuba Circuit, it seemed like luck played more of a part than we were hoping it would. But like you said, Alex had a great race. Just luck was not on his side last week, and hopefully he can turn that around this week and have a great race here at Sonoma.
Yeah, and who can forget about that epic battle we saw in that second race there, JR? I mean, Alex Hammonds was one of them. David Lehman was another one, but he dropped off very quickly. Mark Dillon, Steve Rubens, they were all in there as well. And we thought they were all going to be in with a shot to win, but at the end of it, it was actually pit strategy that won over all of it, because Aaron Clayball came out of nowhere to win it last week.
Yeah, Aaron, we didn't even talk about him much the entire race. He was just kind of back there biding his time, and his pit strategy was a little bit offset the rest of those guys, so it kept him out of trouble. And in the end, he had all the right moves.
Yep, all the right moves, got him to the right places.
I don't see him here tonight, so maybe he's taking a week off and resting on his and savoring his victory for another week.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be drivers recovering from the 24 hours of Daytona. Obviously, as we talked about before the start of the broadcast, that didn't exactly happen for us, so we're nice and refreshed anyway. But qualifying just coming to an end right there, and that means we are going to go straight to the grid for tonight's race. And let's go to that grid and see where everybody is lining up for race 1, 25 minutes long. Let's not forget, and it's Alexander Hammonds that's starting on the pole with Jay Smart joining him on that front row. David Lehman and Dennis Diaz make up row 2, with Mark Dillon Jr. and Steve Rubens making up row 3. Zachary Steck and Daniel Barnett make up row 4, with Zachary Maxson and Zachary Nürnberger and all Zachary row 5. Then you've got Stephen Thompson and Zach Purcell on row 6. Row 7 will be Tony Watson and Carl Smith, and rounding out your field of 15 drivers here tonight is the one and only Mr. Brad McCombs. So we have 25 minutes to get underway here at Sonoma for the first race in this 2-race feature here tonight. You can see Heat 1 on the top left-hand of your screen. You can get rid of that for a little bit, but it's going to be exciting from this point onwards. We're just waiting for a couple more drivers to get gridded up here and get us going for this first race here tonight. As I mentioned, 25 minutes. They're on a time limit here, or whatever laps they can get done first, but with how long the track is, I don't think they will, as the lights are now on the board. Now we are going to go to 5 red lights here tonight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Lights are off and we are racing here at Sonoma for the first time here tonight for the first sprint race of 25 minutes as they head up the hill for the first time. And already Alexander Hammonds is out to a decent lead as Jay Smart under threat. Here comes Dennis Diaz with a power move around the outside of David Lehman as they head up the hill for the first time here tonight.
Yeah, it looks like everybody got away nice and clean. No incidents, and Alexander Hammonds was able to get a great start and use that pole position to his advantage, and he is pulling himself a nice little gap away from Jay Smart.
And Jay Smart having a few connection issues here. He's I'm not sure if he's blinking for you, but he's definitely blinking for me. He does have Dennis Diaz right on his tail, who got off to a monstrous start right there, already up to the top 3.
Yeah, that's what Dennis needs this race. He needs to get out there, get up front, and start clawing back some of those points. Let's not forget, though, he has a very fast David Lehman behind him as well, and a Mr. Mark Dillon Jr., who is definitely looking to get a little bit of revenge after last week's incident.
Yeah, and he is already on the back of David Lehman, as there goes Dennis Diaz. We saw it in the bottom of your screen right there. Putting the move on Jay Smart, and Smart though defending. He's not going to have the correct line though, going through the kink and definitely not into the hairpin, as there goes Dennis Diaz up to second place, put himself in exactly the position he needed to and get himself up there, but Jay Smart is not letting him go. We've had an incident though for Mark Dillon Jr. and that's not the start he wanted so far tonight. Let's take a look and see what happened to him as he was coming down the hill into the chicane, and just lost it coming out of the chicane before the kink right there. And then he had another incident on after the kink into the hairpin, I believe, as he got it going. And
I'm not sure who that was. I think that might have been Zach Smith that caught him.
No, he started spinning himself and then just turned in on Zach Smith. Zachary Nürnberger Carl Smith, getting a piece of that. Zachary Nürnberger getting some of it as well. Nürnberger has had another crash since then, as he spun it. No, carry
Sam, I hate to cut in, Sam, but Jay Smart has fought his way back, and him and Dennis are having a battle. They've passed each other a couple of times already this lap.
Yeah, they are having one heck of a battle already here tonight, and it's going to be great to see how they come out on this one, as actually that attack by Jay Smart kind of backfired on him there, JR, because now David Lehman has found his way by.
Yes, he got out of position after making that pass, and David Lehman got by, and looks like he's got back by David Lehman. I'll tell you what, Jay Smart is a man on the brakes, though. He is outbraking everybody.
Lick the stamp and send it, as one famous Australian driver puts it. As David Lehman in P4, but still threatening Jay Smart. He's got to sort out those connection problems, though, JR. They are probably causing the drivers around him a lot of problems, as Kyle Smith has had more issues. He's in pit road to repair some damage on his car. Tony Watson has had an issue already tonight. He's been in pit road, and Mark Dillon Jr. is out already. He's put it on the hauler.
Yeah, that's a shame for Mark. I know he was looking forward to rebounding tonight. But yeah, as you mentioned, those connection issues, as the driver with the connection issues, you don't notice much. But as the guys behind you, it's really hard to race somebody when every time they come back, they're in a different spot than where they left. So hopefully his connection stabilizes and he can continue on in this race.
Hopefully, as we are looking at Zachary Steck and Zach Purcell having a small battle there for P8 right now. Purcell doing everything he can to keep Steck behind him. Steck looking around the outside into the chicane through the S's, not really working out for him. And Zach Purcell in that Guan Yu Zhou Renault inspired Formula 3 car, able to hold on into the hairpin at least, as though although Steck almost run right into the back of Purcell there, just getting the braking all wrong. Thankfully, no contact there.
Yeah, those guys seem to be having a little bit of issue at that hairpin there with the braking zone. I don't know if they're just not seeing the markers or if they use something as a marker that might be changing. I know a lot of times I find myself using a shadow as a marker and then not realizing the shadow's going to move, and that it's caught me out a few times.
And it has a Steck doing everything he can to stay behind Purcell right there. This is pretty much the closest battle on track right now, although David Lehman is still keeping Jay Smart very honest. Zachary Maxson is starting to come up behind Zachary Nürnberger. Now, Maxson has had a few incidents, and Kyle Smith is still having incidents here as he's gone off again. Needs to be careful in case any other cars try and come up behind him. Gets it going nicely as he got caught out by the chicane through the S's, as Zachary Steck got the job done, finally got around Zach Purcell and already starting to pull away.
Yeah, these guys are going to have themselves a good battle here all night long. Unfortunately, the battle between Lehman and Smart is allowing Dennis to pull away a little bit, giving him some breathing room.
Unable to cope with the pace of Alexander Hammonds, though. Hammonds already out to a 2.2 lead over Dennis Diaz, so Hammonds really showing everybody what he's made of so far here tonight, with Jay Smart in the lead again. Well, still ahead of David Lehman. Lehman still trying to get right up to the back of that number 864 machine, but not able to get close enough.
No, he's right there. It's really hard sometimes to make that pass and make it stick, because you kind of have to take a line that you don't normally take, and that usually means that you're going to be slower coming out of the cornering.
Absolutely.
So hopefully David can make that pass and catch up to Dennis, who is holding pretty steady, about 3 seconds behind Alexander Hammonds, who has found some serious pace tonight. Yeah.
I've got to deal with something for a second there, JR. If you just call the race for a second, I'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
All right, well, I guess we'll go with whatever camera view Sam has.
On David Lehman.
All right, well, then I guess we're going to watch David Lehman and this battle between David Lehman and Jay Smart. So these two now coming across the start-finish line to complete lap number 7, I believe. Again, Sam has all the controls, so we are at the mercy of whatever he is letting everybody watch. Let's see. Meanwhile, you guys can't see the action, but Zach Purcell has had an incident. Looks like coming into the final hairpin, he just got in a little too deep and locked it up and lost the back end. Fortunately for Zach, he was able to avoid anybody coming up behind him and is able to get back on the road again. So let's get back to this battle between David Lehman and Jay Smart. Looks like Jay Smart's able to put a little bit of a gap on David Lehman, maybe give himself a little bit of breathing room, although with those connection issues, sometimes the driver behind, it should be David Lehman, has a tendency to back off, so you don't end up, when that car in front of you reappears, sometimes it has a tendency to appear inside of your car, which never goes well for anybody. So while we're waiting for Sam, we'll just have a quick rundown. So right now we have Alexander Hammonds is leading. He's got a 2.5 lead over Mr. Dennis Diaz, who has managed to cut that gap in half, followed by Jay Smart, who's in a tight battle with David Lehman for 3rd place. Steven Rubens has found himself a little hole between a bunch of people, so he is cruising around in 5th place at the moment, followed by Stephen Thompson. Brad McCombs is having a good night. He is up to 7th place, up 8 positions already, so great night for Brad. Zachary Steck is in 8th place, Daniel Barnett in 9th, and Zach Purcell rounding out our top 10, followed by Zachary Nürnberger, Zachary Maxson, and Kyle Smith. And we have Tony Watson and Mark Dillon Jr. are on the hauler at the moment. Well, Tony might still be in pit road. Let's see. Tony is still out there. He is struggling. I'm not sure. He's having issues tonight, but he is having one bad moment after another as he struggles just to get that car back on track. Looks like he is just trying to get it back to the pit road. Meanwhile, up front, Alexander Hammonds is still leading this race. 1.3 second lead over Mr. Diaz. And we still have 13 minutes left of racing, so this is going to end up being a close battle by the end of this. Jay Smart is still in third place ahead of David Lehman by just under a second.
And I'm back.
All right, Sam, welcome back. We are still watching. Not much has changed since you left, Sam. Tony Watson has spun out about 7 times.
Nice. Oh, and Jay Smart just spun out as well. Oh, no.
Yep, I just saw.
I came back at a good time.
Perfect. Sam, as always, perfect timing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jay Smart coming up to the top of the hill and just gets the inside curbing. Oh, David Lehman was very lucky to get around that without any incidents, and Jay pulls out in front of Stephen Thompson. So that is not going to make Stephen very happy. And again, Jay with those connection issues is going to make it hard for these guys to get around him, Sam.
Yeah, he pulls out, and that was actually Steve Rubens that he forced out on the track.
Was it?
There was Steve Rubens that went out onto the grass, and Stephen Thompson able to take advantage of that and pass both of them. Oh no, past Steve Rubens at least anyway, but Thompson moving up a spot. I've noticed something about this session though. Oh no, I was wrong. I am wrong. I can be wrong. It's okay. Go, just ignore me. The Jay Smart now down to P4 after that spin. David Lehman, that's released him, but look at the gap between Lehman and Diaz now, 6.3 seconds, but also on that same note, look at the gap between Hammonds and Diaz. Diaz has really put his foot down and has really caught up to the back of the race leader.
He has, and I'm trying to see. I think Stephen Thompson may have had an issue as well. Coming into, yes, Stephen Thompson just gets it. Oh wait, no, he's going into the pit lane.
Yeah.
Okay. It comes up as a crash incident.
Yeah, I'm not sure why it said that. I think that's just SDK has always had that problem where it just comes up with a crashing incident, and it just when it actually
it's just a pit.
Yeah, it does it. There's a glitch on SDK actually where actually it comes up with this is the timing and scoring software we use. I apologise to anybody listening, watching from SDK, but there is a glitch on there where SDK picks up...
Every time they go into pit road, it tells them it signifies us as a crash.
But it happens in random places. It's like through the final hairpin at Long Beach as well, it picks up a crash. And through turn 6...
Oh, Dennis Diaz is around, Sam.
Oh, sorry.
In that final hairpin, Dennis was on the back of Alexander Hammonds and just lost it. Braking a little too hard, got on the gas a little bit too hard, Sam.
Yeah, I should have been talking about the race. I do apologise. But yeah, a big mistake there by Dennis Diaz, just going around there through the final hairpin, and that might cost him. But we know Dennis Diaz, he's not going to let that go lightly. He will get that. He will try and get that gap back as quickly as possible. But he's only got 12 minutes left to get the job done.
Yeah, not a lot of time. And oh, Stephen Rubens has an incident in that final hairpin as well. Again, that is just a very tricky hairpin. It sneaks up on you, and you really have to get your braking markers right every time, Sam. There is no room for error in that hairpin.
Yeah, no, it looks like Brad McCombs just got around him around the... what looked to be around the outside of the kink. Yeah, McCombs got a better exit through the kink, and whilst Rubens was trying to get the position back off McCombs, he accidentally spun himself, so that was unfortunate for himself. And Stephen Thompson has had another crash. Actually has had a crash this time.
An actual crash, not in the pit lane.
Yep, the Player One Esports driver just oh, it's a bit of a half spin, nothing too serious, but that will definitely cost him some time. Let's take a look at some battles going on. Stephen Thompson is in a battle actually. As I say that, He got passed by Zachary Nurnberger after having that half spin. Now Thompson will want that position back as Brad McCombs comes into pit road for his scheduled stop.
Yeah, these guys do have to make one pit stop. So we're going to get things shuffled up here a little bit and see if people come out.
Sorry to cut you off there, JR. Alexander Hammonds has had a spin in a very, very bad place there. He went right up the hill, and that's probably cost him a lot of time, and it's definitely cost him the lead and second place. So a big mistake there by Alexander Hammonds. And, you know, it's okay to switch your brain off sometimes, but that is a very costly mistake there by a person who's led the most laps here so far tonight, now sat back in third place.
Yeah, that cost him 2 positions, and yeah, he went off in a weird spot and ended up way out in the cornfield there. Having to navigate his way back onto the racetrack cost him a lot more time than he was hoping.
He was so far up the hill, he would have needed his own Sherpa if he went up any further. So, Alexander,
we get it all here at Pony Express Sim Racing. We don't mess around.
No, I don't anyway. People know me too well. People know me by now. Know that I don't mince my words these days about anything. No battles going on around the track now after all that. Dennis Diaz does have the lead, and that spin he had through the hairpin. You may as well just forget about it because he's got a decent lead over David Lehman now, who's jumped up to second. Alexander Hammonds, though, is starting to reel that time back in on Lehman. And he's been the fastest all evening so far tonight, JR. I don't think it'll be too much trouble for Hammonds to catch back up on that 557 car.
Yeah, it looks like Alexander's going to have enough pace to catch back up to David. Be curious to see if he can get around him once he gets up there, though. This is something we've seen a lot in this series so far. These guys, they don't have a problem catching each other, but they sure do seem to have a problem not so much making the pass, but completing the pass. They have to take that odd line, and these cars, if you don't get that drive out of the corner, they just eat you back up.
Just under 8.5 minutes left in this race. Jay Smart just had an off track there. Nothing too serious, though. Just got a couple of wheels on the... well, that was a pretty sandy part round there. It's actually in the desert this track was made. So Steve Rubin still making his way around the track, just holding on to the last spot in the top 5. Zachary Steck is in P6, Purcell in 7th, Brad McCombs in 8th, Stephen Thompson 9th, and I think Zachary Nurnberg will be happy with the top 10 out of this one.
I think so. Zach, I think at this point is just going to be happy to bring a car back in one piece. He had he had some bad luck at the 12-hour or the 24-hour of Daytona, much like you and I did, Sam. But I think a top 10 for Zach will be a good night for Zach.
Yeah. And I'm just referring to a very funny picture that Stephen Thompson put up on Discord earlier. He put a picture of himself in practice, and he was literally surrounded by all the Zacharys, all the Zachs in on track, and he said it scared him. He said the Zach, or in brackets Zacharys, they scare me. He had Zachary Maxson and Nurnberger ahead of him, and Zach Purcell right behind him. So yeah. Well,
we do have 4 in tonight's race, and I'm pretty sure that's...
Nurnberger going for a spin. That's the top 10 gone. Yeah, we do have a lot of Zacharys in here. 4 of them, like you mentioned, so...
Zach just gets it wrong coming on the top of that hill. Now, I had talked to Zach before the race, and he had mentioned that was his weak point, was coming up that hill, making that crest. He said the car tends to get a little bit light there. And if you're on the gas just a little bit too hard, that's what happens.
As we see Jay Smart doing his own bit of hill climbing right there. As he went off in the exact same spot where Alexander Hammonds went off. Actually lost the back end of the car. And Brad McCombs nearly, I believe that was Brad McCombs, nearly went into him. And yeah...
Brad is having a solid race tonight, up 8 positions already.
Yeah, he's doing all
nice
right
to see Brad able to... What's that, Sam?
He's doing all right for himself. Zachary Steck has had a crash.
Crash, or did he enter pit road?
He entered pit... No. No, he didn't enter pit road. He genuinely... Wait a minute.
No, he just got it all wrong coming into that final hairpin.
Yeah.
Again, that braking zone is catching these guys out. I don't know if it's not enough practice or if they're just pushing a little too hard. Oh, Alexander Hammonds. Is he crashed or did he enter pit road, Sam?
He went straight through the chicane. He had an off as Dennis Diaz goes into pit road, so this is going to be important here. Zachary Nuremberger has had an off. Wow, I'm seeing a lot of red now. Let's take a look at what happened to Alexander Hammonds. He was trying to close in on David Lehman. I think he just outbraked himself going into the chicane and decided to go straight through the tires.
But luckily, he was able to go straight through those tires and not end up causing any damage.
Yeah, we've got pit stop still going on right now. Dennis Diaz able to get out first out of pit road, obviously, because he was in the lead. David Lehman out second. Alexander Hammonds only just coming out of pit road right now. Zachary Steck will rejoin. Actually, he's just making his way into pit road, so he'll lose a couple of spots there. Brad McCombs is still out on track. Actually,
oh no! Oh, Sam.
What?
Zachary Steck was coming out of, I think that was Zachary coming out of pit road, and when you're coming onto the track here, there is a break in the concrete blocks that looks like you could enter the track. Unfortunately, that is not where you need to enter the track.
Take a look. See what happened.
I don't know if it will show you.
Says he crashed. Oh, I see. Yeah. Oh, why did he go there? That's a weird place to go.
He was trying to get back on track, Sam.
It's like that video I saw a couple of years ago of Kimi Räikkönen getting lost at Interlagos.
Yes.
Like you try and make.
Meanwhile,
try and take an access road, but it's actually the wrong one. Anyway.
Yes.
What were you going to say?
Meanwhile, David Lehman has managed to close this gap down to Dennis. He is 1.5 seconds back, and he is closing a little bit each lap.
There's a reason why he's the championship leader. He's actually showing it right here. He's really closing in on the back of Dennis Diaz. Just under 3 minutes left to go in this race, and Diaz might have a small battle on him before this is all said and done. And Lehman really has started to pile on the pressure here and try and get something, at least a bit of a taste of victory here tonight.
Yeah, I imagine these guys are going to battle right to the very end. And these guys they're competitors, but they've been competitors for a long time in a lot of series, and they know each other's ins and outs. So if it does come down to a battle, it'll be a nice, clean battle with some great racing.
I tell you what, they only do an hour of racing. Obviously, 25 and 35 equals an hour, but it's a great hour of racing. And if anybody's watching and interested in joining this series, I do encourage you. If your I rating is below 2,500, then do come along and join these guys. It's a very fun hour of racing here on Monday nights, and I'm pretty sure, and I'm pretty sure JR agrees with me. They'll be happy to have you along. Just come along, just have a bit of fun and race it out. See what you can do here.
There's no minimum requirements. You don't have to be experienced. That's why we have an amateur series. These guys are out here learning how to handle with these cars, learning how to race amongst other people, and they would love to have more cars on the track. It just makes for better racing and a lot more experience. So jump on over to the Pony Express Discord channel, to come on over to the YouTube channel. You can find us, get a hold of anybody here. We will gladly like to have you join the series, join the league, and come see what we're all about. And if you're lucky, Sam, maybe they'll get on a podcast or two.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been on 2 so far, so I'm very privileged. Actually, I think I'm the only... No, I'm wrong. Zachary Nuremberger and Mark Dillon have been on 2 each, so...
But Zach doesn't count because Zach does a weekly rundown, so his doesn't count. So you are officially the only 2-time interviewee.
Yeah. And Tyler Berger.
Meanwhile, Sam, while we were talking about nothing, David Lehman had an incident and lost all that time that he worked so hard to try to pull back on Dennis Diaz, who I think at this point is going to come home with a victory. I think are they coming to the white flag lap, Sam?
They are. They're not crossed the 25-minute threshold right now. There is the finally the flagman waving his white flag frantically like he always does. So we are on the white flag lap here, and I don't think Barney the flagman gets enough credit. We'll talk about that in a bit. But Dennis Diaz on the white flag lap now. He's coming up behind Zachary Nürnberger, and now we know how much of a gentleman driver Mr. Nürnberger is. I don't think we'll hold him up too much, and I don't think Dennis will be too worried either, because Lehman now 2.5 seconds behind him, and well, this just goes to show that Dennis Diaz, whatever setback he has, will not hold him back from getting to victory lane here as he comes up the drag strip towards the hairpin.
Yeah, coming into the hairpin there, and Zach does the right thing. He pulls over, gets the blue flag, gets out of the way so he doesn't impede the leaders. Although I would imagine Zach was probably hoping not to get lapped tonight.
Blue flag.
So that puts Zachary Maxson as the last guy on the lead lap here tonight.
Yep, and he's in the last spot in the top 10 here, so he'll probably be happy with that one. As here comes Dennis Diaz, though, coming through the kink right now, down towards this shortened hairpin for the final time in this first race, and he will be starting further back in the pack, but he won't mind. He's got a race victory in the books as he crosses the line and wins race 1 here at Sonoma.
Nice race by Dennis, followed closely by sorry, Sam.
He did it again, didn't he? He did it again, didn't he?
That was great timing. It was impeccable timing for that incident to take place. For those of you that were able to see it,
well, we saw him just bulleting off the track as I clicked away. So, yeah, just Zachary Nürnberger using this car as a lawn dart again.
Zach being Zach.
Yeah. Oh my God, he used this car as a lawn dart on Dennis Diaz this time. But anyway, that is the first race in the books, and we'll talk to your race winner right about now, if we can. Hopefully they're not hiding from us this time around, as Dennis Diaz joins us from victory lane after a very up and down first race there. I think you'd agree with that, Dennis?
Yeah, that was a pretty good race, pretty good battles.
Yeah, I mean, it was, like I said, it was a very up and down race, not just because of how the track works, but for yourself, you had a spin there through the final hairpin, but still came away with the win right there. Were you surprised to see Alex Hammonds make the mistake he did?
Yeah, I was. I didn't expect him to spin. I didn't even look at the relative. I thought that was just a back marker, and then I see it was his name, and after that, I just tried to keep it clean and just take it home to the win.
Absolutely. Well, this marks your first race win since Canadian Tire. Now you're looking to claw some of them points back. You came into tonight 60 points back. This has got to be a good start for yourself. Obviously, you have that drop week in hand as well. So, are you looking to try and get the points naturally, or just use those drop weeks to get them back anyway?
Drop weeks first, and then work it naturally.
All right. A bit further back in the race for race 2. Obviously, this track is just like any other track we've been to so far this season, not too easy. What are you hoping for in race 2?
Honestly, just try to keep it clean, but I have to really push considering it's the top 8. So there's no real slower traffic up ahead, so we had to win it off of pace again. So we'll see what happens.
All right, Dennis. Well, I'll let you get your shout outs later. If actually, we'll let you get them out now. Anybody you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go and get ready for race 2?
Friends, family watching, thank you once again to my boy Sebastian, always here to help out, and then my father, who's also in the room as well. Shout out to him as well, and hopefully we can have a nice race for the next race.
Absolutely, Dennis. Congratulations on winning race 1. Hopefully, we'll be speaking to you after race 2.
All right, thank you.
So, Dennis, I don't know how to judge Dennis because he always he never sounds surprised with anything at all.
No, he's very calm, very cool, very collective, even keel, and just kind of nonchalant goes about his business, and yet he always seems to be in the booth talking about his victory or his
We've got a drag
great
race going on here. Brad McCombs versus Stephen Thompson. Who's going to win this drag race here, JR?
I'm not watching it, Sam, so you'll have to tell me.
So here we go. As they both get going here, Brad McCombs versus Stephen Thompson. It's neck and neck off the line. They're going to be going right up to the line here. It's going to be very close between the two, but it looks like Brad McCombs might just have it here as they get to the top of the hill. Stephen Thompson trying to come back here as they get to the top of the hill. Almost there's neck and neck as Brad McCombs just gets it by a nose, and Brad McCombs wins the drag race of the day. There you go. I called a drag race for the first time in my career. And this is what you get here at Pony Express Sim Racing. I'll tell you what, Formula 3 cars would not make a very good dragster unless you put a very big supercharged engine in it.
Yes, I agree. Or you'd have to make it you'd have to have a bump at the end or something to make it exciting.
Yeah, true. But anyway, let's go to the grid for tonight's second race. And starting up on the pole will be Zach Purcell. He'll be joined on the front row by Jay Smart, who's on the front row for the second time here tonight. Row 2 will be Steve Rubens and Stephen Thompson. Row 3 will be Brad McCombs and Alexander Hammonds. Row 4 will be David Lehman and Dennis Diaz. Row 5 will be Daniel Barnett and Zachary Maxson. Row 5 will be Zachary Nurnberger and Zachary Steck. Tony Watson is the last driver going to be running tonight. Carl Smith and Mark Dillon Jr. will not be taking any further part in tonight's session. So only 13 drivers starting race 2 here, JR.
Yeah, that's a shame to see some of these guys were not going to stick around. But I have a feeling it's still going to be exciting racing. Be interesting to see how these fast guys get through some of this traffic without incident.
Absolutely. The green flag comes out after 5 red lights and a bad start there by Jay Smart there. A horrid start for himself. Has lost 2 spots already as Purcell and Rubens move up to first and second. Alexander Hammond's already trying to put moves on. So is Dennis Diaz. Stephen Thompson around the outside as well. Jay Smart is holding a lot of people up here after that horrid start that he had right there, but somehow able to hold on to second place.
We have an incident in the back, Sam. Not sure who that was. Daniel Barnett in the KISS car. Oh, and we have another car that just went airborne.
Yeah, and that was Zachary Maxson going for a ride. Take a look and see what happened here. And we got into it with Zachary Steck. And it looks like Zachary Nurnberger might got a piece of that as well.
It looks like all the Zachs took each other out. And we have more acts. Man, I'm not sure what is going on here, Sam.
I can't keep up. Alexander Hammond's in trouble as well this time as he's coming out onto the drag strip. He goes into a spin, and that's Stephen Thompson that's spun right next to him. Zachary Nurnberger goes off in the background as well. The drivers are playing Skittles with their own cars.
They are uncharacteristically just all over, and we got more incidents in the back as people are
Zachary Maxson off again.
Quartering, they're into the chicane there. We had an accordion going on. People running off in the hairpin.
Just, rule number 1, don't hit your teammate. Rule number 2, don't use your car as a weapon. Rule number 3, if you're going to go off, make sure it gets on the highlight reel.
Well, yeah, you can't. And I'm not sure what happened there. Zach Purcell just pulls over and lets Jay Smart go around him, and looks like he's going to let Dennis Diaz go around as well.
Yeah, Purcell not feeling
comfortable. Purcell, no, he's off.
Wow, he's
not sure what.
That came back to bite him pretty hard actually. He let the first 2 through and then just instantly went off track. That's both gentlemanly and just bad luck at the same time.
Yeah, and I'm not sure why he would let those 2 through. They were all in the same lap. He was leading. He had every right to hold that position, and it cost him 7 spots.
Cost him a lot right there.
Nice finished last.
We've got big incidents going on in the back. Steve Rubens and a few other drivers getting into it. Let's take a look and see what happened here. This was going into the first hairpin. Now,
4 wide, all 4 guys trying to get in that hairpin all at the same time.
it looks like Hammonds and Lehman were going to get into it. Yeah, they did. They had a bit of a bump there. So, everybody just going crazy right now. Jay Smart, though, still in the lead, though. But look who's right behind him from 8th to 1st. Is Mr. Dennis Diaz going to sail it around the outside of Jay Smith as they go up the hill for the 2nd time here tonight. And, well, Dennis Diaz back to the front again.
Yeah, well, you know, I would imagine he... We just talked to him, and I'm going to guess he probably didn't think it was going to be that easy to get all the way back up front. But
Yeah.
a lot of that traffic was cleared out, and he was, again, able to just avoid the incidents. Sometimes you're better off being lucky than good.
Oh, Brad McCombs just went off up the hill.
Yeah.
Oh, you have to be careful coming back on the track there. He does get back out on track safely, as that was Zachary Steck that just went around his outside right there.
Not even sure where Brad is. There's RV parking up there. I don't know what he was doing.
Well, there's mountain goats up there as well, I think. I've got to stop making mountain jokes. I apologise. We're going to go back to the battle for the lead, though, because Jay Smart has not let Dennis Diaz get away whatsoever. This battle's still raging on between the top two.
Yeah, it's nice to see Jay is able to hold his own. You know, Dennis was able to make a great move around him coming up over the hill here, but Jay has stuck right there and is not letting Dennis get away.
No, it's not. So Jay
Now, can he get close enough to make that repass, Sam, is going to be a big factor. Although, it's hard to tell with Jay because he is still having some connection issues. Now he's disappearing off my screen.
He's blinking like a kid with lemon in his eye, so not really good for himself right there, but oh no, and Jay just throws it away. A spin, putting him behind and probably going to lose 2nd place as well, as there goes the trio of Steve Rubens, David Lehman and Alexander Hammonds, and also Tony Watson up to the top 5 now. He's having a much better race.
Yeah, and what a bad spot to go off track behind the sign. So his vision was blocked and drivers couldn't see him. Luckily, nobody made contact when Jay entered the track again.
Yeah, thankfully that all got itself squared away pretty quickly. Another driver that's having a good run is David Lehman, once again back up to 2nd place. But it's a pretty easy pass on Steve Rubens, I will say. Now, Steve Rubens now will fall under pressure from Alexander Hammonds. Hammonds taking a little peek there, going into the chicane, not able to do it as Rubens goes off through the chicane, and I'm surprised that's not a slowdown. It probably is. He's probably got time to get rid of it, but here comes Jay Smart. Wow.
Whoa. Gets it. Oh, the ultimate dive bomb. That was a dive bomb from 3 positions back, Sam. That is never going to work.
Yeah, and that took out Steve Rubens, and I'm pretty sure Mr. Rubens is going to have a few words to say about that one.
I would imagine it's not going to be you want to come over for dinner either. That was not a well-placed attempt to make a pass. I think Jay was just a little bit impatient there after having that spin, trying to get back up there and fight with those lead guys.
It's what I like to call driving angry. I mean, he had that spin a few corners previous to that, and probably let the frustration get to him and probably made that move in frustration, and unfortunately took out Steve Rubens in the process, and well, might fall under the watchful eye of the stewards after that one.
And there's a good possibility that might involve a conversation.
Yeah, he's going to be taken away to the hauler, as they call it. So, Jay Smart not in a good position right there. As we go back to live pictures, for some reason I was still on a replay, but we're going to go back to Steve Rubens, who now is in a battle with Tony Watson and Stephen Thompson. And Stephen Thompson, well, just went off track. Thompson not having a good night tonight. He's had more than his fair share of incidents here tonight. He's actually put a pass on Purcell, went straight over the chicane, and that's definitely a slowdown for him, as he had to clear it and let Purcell and McCombs back ahead again. As we go back to live pictures once again for the 1500th time. Day Smart still in P4. Steve Rubens has recollected himself in P5. Does have Tony Watson right in his tail now. And Watson, who did run a full 24-hour race this past weekend, really keeping him honest right now.
Yeah, Tony's a real nice, consistent race tonight. Up 7 positions from the start. Yeah, well, it was nice to see that somebody had a full 24-hour race.
Yeah, they finished.
I know you didn't make it 24 hours, Sam, and neither did my team.
Well, it was the other car in my team's. It was the second entry into the race for my team. We entered 2 cars, and he was in the second car, so that one finished at least. But yeah, they finished 8th overall, I think. So not too bad.
Congratulations to those guys.
Yeah, they were in a very lofty top 5 position, but they had a few incidents near the end which cost them that top 5. But anyway, a top 10 is good enough anyway. We're going to take a look at Alexander Hammonds now, trying to close in on David Lehman. Not really working out for him as the battle between Rubens and Watson still going on. Brad McComb's starting to join the party as well, so 2 System X drivers ganging up on that poor Stephen Rubens car. He's going to have a bit of a handful now with those two System X drivers right behind him.
Yeah, I would imagine he is not wanting to see that. Be interesting to see how these 2 teammates get along. Brad seems to have a little bit more pace than Tony does tonight. I wonder if Tony will let his teammate go by and maybe squeeze in if Brad's able to catch up to Stephen Thompson, or excuse me, to Stephen Rubens and make that pass.
Surely we're not going to see team orders tonight, are we?
No, never. But if I'm teammates and my teammate's faster, I'm going to pull over and let my teammate go by.
True. I mean, Tony is driving a McLaren, not a Ferrari, so it does make sense.
Let's just hope they don't hit each other, because they have had incidents in the past where those 2 have collected each other, accidentally, of course, and taken each other out.
Well, rule number 1 is don't hit your teammates, so that's a rule that they shouldn't break anyway. As we are looking at Watson, and this is a 3-way battle for that last spot in the top 5 here, as we just crossed the 10-minute threshold now. We've got about 24 and a half minutes left, so we've got plenty of time, plenty of racing left to do here at Sonoma. As here comes Tony Watson now, taking a little peek on Steve Rubens right there as they come up the hill over the kink, over the crest of the hill, and down to this downhill hairpin. Brad McComb's almost getting caught out right there.
Yeah, Brad got just in there a little bit too deep, and luckily for him, he was able to keep it on the track. As a great broadcaster, I know he was able to keep it clean and keep it green, right?
Yeah, keep it clean, keep it green. That's my motto. Hey. Anyway, that's my sign off. Wait a minute. Anyway, that's Steve Rubens still in a battle right there. Oh, Rubens having a few connection problems there, but still able to keep the car in front of Tony Watson. And Watson still taking another little peek there, but not quite close enough as they come through the chicane.
No, but you know the nice part is Tony and Steven are going to have a battle here, and Steven at least knows that Tony is not going to try the 4-car behind dive bomb up the inside and take both of them out. He'll be patient for a little while and make that nice clean pass.
Or as I like to call it, the dive bomb from hell.
Yeah, we've seen a few of those already tonight.
Yeah. And it's always at that hairpin as well. That hairpin has caught a lot of people. Well, all of the hairpins have caught people out tonight, so can't just blame it on the one, as this battle's still raging on between those 2. Brad McComb's starting to close back in ever so slightly as well as they're going to the downhill hairpin now towards the drag strip as they go down through this, cutting up the crest and down again into, well, I wouldn't call this
Dennis is off.
Dennis is off. What happened to Dennis? Still in the lead though, but lost a lot of time there. Take a look and see what happened to him. And this is a very uncharacteristic mistake. He was all by himself.
Just caught that inside curb a little bit too much, and lucky for him, he was able to to collect it, but that did definitely cost him some time.
It cost him about 4 seconds. He was about 7 seconds up the road ahead of David Lehman. Now Lehman will have seen that and will be looking to try and capitalize on it, although the gap is still 3.3 seconds. He does have a problem right behind him in the shape of Alexander Hammonds, though, who's now within about 0.6 of a second behind Lehman.
Oh, and Dennis is having issues at the top of the hill again. He didn't go off, but he drove that in there a little bit too hot. Maybe a little signs of that driving angry, Sam. Just trying to make up for some of that lost time after making a simple mistake. Very uncharacteristic of Dennis.
Yep, Dennis does make mistakes from time to time. It just shows that he is human. Sometimes you need to prove that you're human to make sure people realize that you are.
And Brad McCombs was he able to get ahead of his teammate Tony Watson, who was falling back?
Was. Let's see if that was a manufactured pass.
Sure what happened to Tony.
Oh, Tony had a half spin.
Okay.
Tony got around Steve Rubens and then had a half spin. Take a look and see what happened here. Watson got ahead of him through the chicane, and then just on the exit of the chicane, Watson lost the back end of the car, and unfortunately, all that hard work he did just came undone again.
That seems to be a common theme tonight. It's almost like when we were at the Canadian Tire Park there, Moss Corner. It just seems to be a common theme that repeats itself over and over.
The only difference is around here, all the corners are having the same effect on drivers, so...
They seem to be having that tonight.
But we know from, well, not just as broadcasters, but as drivers, as Dennis Diaz has had another off track, this is not an easy track. It may look simple from the outset with the flowing corners and stuff like that, and the up and down things, and this corner that Dennis is going through right now may seem simple, but it's not. These corners will catch you out, and they've caught a lot of people out here tonight, as they have done every other time a league or official races have gone here.
Yeah, I've done a lot of laps on this track, and I cannot just seem to get the flow right. And this is one of those tracks where once you get out of rhythm, it's really hard to find that rhythm and to get that pace back. It looks like a wide open flowing track, but man, it is very technical and very unforgiving.
Yeah, as we're still seeing the battle raging on. Tony Watson has just got back ahead of Stephen Thompson, who passed him after he had that half spin. So Watson back ahead of Thompson. Now can set his sights on the back of his teammate, who is also in a battle, now leading the charge of that battle against Steve Rubens. And Rubens taking a very deep line into the hairpin, as that might give McCombs an advantage here. Gets a way better exit than Rubens as they go across the line towards turn one here. Is McCombs going to do anything about this one? It's very difficult to pass through this section of the track, though.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah, I am riding on board with Brad, and he is all over the back of Steven Rubens' car today.
Yeah, he is not letting up, and he's using every bit of the track and pushing that car to its limits right now to try and stay on the back of Rubens. But just like last week, Steve Rubens is putting one heck of a defense up as McCombs runs wide through the left-hander there. That's cost him a bit of time to Rubens, but still gonna get a better slingshot as they head up the hill towards the hairpin. And all this going on has let Tony Watson and Stephen Thompson back in as well.
Yeah, you know, there's always a couple different lines you can take, and if you're going to pass somebody, you can't be in the line they're taking. And Brad's going to pull out and attempt to make the pass going into that chicane, and he wisely backs out and gives that position back. Oh, as they touch, looked like Steven Rubens just didn't have the drive coming out of that chicane that Brad did.
Yeah, as I just looked at, as they're all making pit stops now. Alexander Hammonds was the first one to come in. Brad McCombs, Tony Watson, and Stephen Thompson all coming into pit road at the same time. That's promoted Stephen Rubens up to P4 now. He's still yet to make his pit stop. Same for Dennis Diaz, David Lehman, and Jay Smart. Zachary Nürnberger and Zach Purcell still on the lead lap. Let's not forget they're still yet to make their pit stops, I believe. Zachary Steck, Zachary Maxson, Daniel Barnett. Barnett actually is out, so he won't take any further part. But Zachary Steck and Zachary Maxson actually have both taken their pit stop, so maybe I take back that statement. But Hammond's already back out of pit road. He's already up and running, already back ahead of Zachary Purcell. So Hammond's picking up where he left off. Steve Rubens now. Got to be expecting him to coming down pit road this time by as the same for the 3 drivers in front of him.
Yeah, these guys are just a little bit over halfway now, so it's anytime they come in for their pit stops. It looks like Dennis is going to stay out one more lap, along with David Lehman. These guys are going to try to stretch this out just a little bit farther. Be curious to see if Alexander Hammonds can use some of that fresh rubber for an undercut and get in front of these guys, or at least close that gap a little bit. I don't know if he's going to have enough pace to close that 13-second gap, but
yeah, as Jay Smart and Steve Rubens come into pit road there for their stops. So 2 out of that top 4 came in. Alexander Hammonds now will come through the final hairpin to resume that 3rd place that he took, that he had before he went into pit road. Zach Purcell, who is yet to take it down pit road, he is up to P4 now, but obviously we'll hand that position back over once he does come down pit road. As there goes Jay Smart coming out of pit road. Steve Rubens will take his pit stop now. He'll be straight on his way again. Gets passed by Zachary Nürnberger, who's another one that is yet to come down pit road. Dennis Diaz just coming down through the S's right now. He must, I gotta say, he must be taking his pit stop right now. He should do, really.
yeah, I can't imagine him being able to stretch this 2 laps longer. He has the and here he comes into, whoa,
Very
almost
hot.
got that all wrong.
Yeah, David Lehman coming in as well. They always like to charge that line there going into that pit road. It's a very fast pit entry. Now we've got to keep an eye on Alexander Hammonds. Does he take advantages? Does he get any time back from that pit stop? I don't think he will. Dennis Diaz came in a good 3, maybe 4 seconds ahead of David Lehman when he came in, so that's a bit of a gap for Alexander Hammonds to make up right there. He was 30 seconds behind when they came in, and already looks like Dennis Diaz is already on his way out, and he is.
He is on his way out, and Alexander Hammonds is just now crossing the start-finish line.
He's going to get Lehman, and he does.
But it looks like he got Alexander was able to get ahead of David Lehman.
Yep.
Now the question is, can either one of these guys run down Mr. Diaz?
Well, the gap
Who has
is
proven to be fast, but he has also proven to have a few incidents all on his own tonight.
yeah, but name me one driver that hasn't had an incident so far tonight. So,
Well, that was I haven't had one tonight, Sam.
oh, you're not on track, so difference.
Well, that's why I don't have incidents, Sam.
Brad McCoon's just getting around Steve Rubens right there. Great pass for him right there, and finally gets the job done on that driver in the 7:04. So McCoon's on the ascendancy. He's up to P6 now, 7 seconds off the back of Jay Smart.
Yep, Brad seems like he's got his pace and his rhythm. Don't know if his lap times are fast enough to start closing that gap to Jay Smart, but like you said, there's been incidents abound tonight. Everybody seems to have gotten in trouble. And speaking of which, Brad just has another spin, and I don't know if he was helped on that or if that was all on his own accord, Sam.
Well, we're going to take a look and see what happened here. Let's see Rubens going for a dive there. A big dive into the hairpin, and it looks like he might have had...
Yeah,
It was
I think he might have just caught that back tire.
Yeah, with the front wing, yeah. So, well, that was a pretty
And these
audacious
guys are-
dive from Steve Rubens. though.
Yeah. Not a big fan of that dive bomb from a half a second back, Sam. It doesn't end well for the guy in front, and it's just not called for. Not, at least not in this series.
No, it's not. As Zachary Maxson comes down pit road. Zach Purcell is in pit road as well, just leaving his pit box now. rejoins in P9. So still inside the top 10. Zachary Nürnberger just went for a spin there. He's in the top 10 as well. Zachary Steck, who's already been down pit road after getting some damage early on in the race, he is now back on the lead lap. But Dennis Diaz is not that far behind him, so Mr. Steck needs to look in his rearview mirrors pretty soon.
Dennis has managed to stabilize that gap to right around 3.5 seconds ahead of Alexander Hammonds. So it looks like Dennis has kind of gotten that thing put in cruise control, and he is doing what Dennis does, turning lap after lap.
Doing what he does best. As just as I said that, Zachary Steck has come down pit road for his what looks to be his second stop of the night. So he came in again. So obviously taking that pit stop early on in the race was not going to be enough for him to make it to the end. So he's had to come in again. David Lehman in third place is still not too far behind Alexander Hammonds right now. He's in third place. This is probably the closest battle we're going to see on track at the moment between Hammonds and Lehman. That gap is about 1.3 seconds. The closest gap we've seen, or we're seeing at the moment. Everybody else pretty much spread out. Actually, just as I say that, Stephen Thompson is just about to get into a battle with Tony Watson. Oh, just as I say that, Brad McCombs goes for another spin there, JR.
Looks like Brad is just trying to get back those positions, pushing a little bit too hard.
Now, I wonder.
Luckily these guys are able to spin, Sam, without wrecking the car. It looks like they're spinning in some of the slower spots and able to recover and keep going on. Maybe some flat spots in the tires, but no damage, so that's good. They can keep on racing.
I was just wondering that with the contact he had with Steve Rubens, I wonder if he does have a bit of tire damage, because I mean, we've seen it in other series like Formula One, and I know this is a simulated series, but they do have the ultra realistic damage model on these cars. That little contact from the front wing to the tire, it can cut a tire down. So I wonder if that's what's causing him the problems right now.
Very possible. His lap times, they're. I mean, he is running a little bit slower than his best lap time, but he's still a full second off the pace, so there might be a little bit of issues with that car tonight.
We've had an incident for Zachary Maxson and for Stephen Thompson. Now, this is Stephen Thompson. He did slow down for something. Oh, no, he had a spin into the final hairpin. Let's take a look at Zachary Maxson's incident, because he towed it to pit road. He went over the crest of the hill and just went backwards into the tyre barrier. I'm guessing you've seen another incident right there, JR.
All I saw was him coming down that downhill and pull over to the side of the road and tow it back to the pit.
Yeah, probably going to give it up for the night there. Had a very difficult night, as Mr. Maxson, as he has put it on the hole. He's out.
Let's see what's... Looks like we have Zach Nürnberger just gets the final hairpin all wrong. Luckily, no damage, able to keep going.
Yeah, so no problem, no, not too heavy of a problem there for Zachary Nürnberger, as Brad McCombs had another off track. But we do have a big battle going on right now here, JR. Alexander Hammonds versus David Lehman. It's your battle for second place.
Yeah, these two have been nose to tail for the last, probably better part of 10 minutes. And I see Alexander Hammonds has had a few incidents and a few off tracks, but nothing that's caused him to relinquish that position to David Lehman, at least not yet. Meanwhile, these guys, their battle here has allowed Dennis to pull out to over a 7.5 second lead already.
Yeah, so they are really going at it right now, these two. Alexander Hammonds and David Lehman. Yeah, Dennis Diaz now out to a 7.2 second lead. And that's what happens when two guys are battling behind you. That just gives the person, that gives you, if you're in the lead of these guys, then that just gives you the advantage to just get away, because they are battling like they are now, and almost coming to contact for the final hairpin, and just giving you that advantage because they are slowing themselves down trying to battle each other.
Correct. As the leader, that's what you want to see is the two guys behind you continue to battle. Allows you to just run your race. You don't have to look in your mirrors. You don't have to worry about what's coming behind you. All you have to do is concentrate on what's ahead of you and turning those nice, smooth laps like Dennis is known for.
Absolutely, and Dennis is doing exactly what he needs to do. Less than 10 minutes to go in this race, by the way. We have about 7 minutes, actually, in this race.
7 minutes, Sam?
Yeah, 7 minutes.
Well, you were correct. It's less than 10.
Yeah. I know. I can do math. Math are hard sometimes, but it can be done. But Jason,
Zach Nurburger has another issue in the corner. He said he didn't like coming up on the crest of that hill, and he just had a nice soft spin and was able to pull away without causing any issues.
Just taking a look at that right now, and yeah, just a bit of a half spin right there. Just turns about 90 degrees to the right. Jay Smart had an off track as well. Looks like Brad McCombs has had another incident too. Let's take a look at Jay Smart's incident. And just run a bit too far wide there. Nothing too harmful right there. Brad McCombs, meanwhile,
and just out there doing a little dirt tracking. That was nice form by Brad, though. He managed to keep that drift going and hardly lost any time. Nice driving, Brad.
I mean,
we'll have to have him in Friday night dirt tracking.
Maybe he's preparing for the pro trucks that are going on right after this race. As Joe Smart goes for a big spin right there, and that's not what he wants. That might promote Steve Rubens up to 4th place, but Rubens is still quite a ways back, so Jay Smart might have just got away with that one.
Yeah. Again, they come up to the top of that hill, that blind right-hand corner. The car gets real light, and you can on there just a little bit too early on that throttle, and you're going to lose that rear end every time.
Yep, so Jay Smart
and
just...
yes, Sam,
yeah.
Immediately after this, we have the Pro 4 trucks over there at Extreme Sim TV. It's a mouthful to say tonight.
I know, right?
And I watched those guys last week, Sam, at Crandon, and that was an amazing race. Those guys trucks were on top of trucks. Trucks were jumping over trucks. Trucks were rolling on top of trucks. And that was some great racing. So jump on over there after we're done with this broadcast if you want to watch some really great off-road racing.
Yeah, some great racing going on there, and a great channel to have it on as well, Extreme Sim TV, the other broadcasters for Pony Express Sim Racing. So make sure you check them out. Give them a like and subscribe as well. And while you're at it, and while you're listening to us talk about it, why don't you give us a like and subscribe as well? We do appreciate it, whilst we bring you in-house coverage of 2 of the many series we have in this league at Pony Express Sim Racing, and we do appreciate everybody that comes along and shows their support, both for us and for Extreme Sim Racing. So big kudos going out to you guys. We're still focused on the battle for 3rd place right now between Alexander Hammonds and David Lehman. Lehman has actually lost a bit of ground on Hammonds right now. The gap is almost about a second, but still not letting Hammonds get away.
No, they have been pushing each other, and David just got in getting that last hairpin just a little bit too hot, and allowed Alexander Hammonds to gap him just a little bit. I don't know if it's going to be enough, or if David's going to have enough in the tank here with 3.5 minutes to go to make that pass. It'll be interesting to see. We know how these guys like to make that dive bomb pass into that final chicane, Sam, or that final hairpin.
Luckily that wasn't the case this time, and Lehman did actually gain a bit of time on Hammonds this time around. Now lap times are coming in thick and fast, and Hammonds by far only 0.2 of a second faster, or just under 0.2 of a second faster on lap times between himself and David Lehman. So these two very even when it comes to lapping, at least anyway. That's why they are as close as they are on track.
Yeah, they are turning almost identical lap times, and they've been going back and forth. One will lead a lap, next one will lead a lap, taking turns, and thinking we got about 3 more laps left, Sam. Do you think David Lehman's going to have to maybe take some chances here if he wants to make this pass?
You're going to have to. I mean, it was the late great Ayrton Senna said that if you don't go for a gap that's there, you're no longer a racing driver. So, I mean, you've got to do everything you can to try and advance yourself in a position without trying to wreck yourself and the driver ahead of you. And Lehman, I think he might be listening to us because he's going straight for it right now.
He is all over the back of Alexander Hammonds.
And he is. Oh,
let's see
that
what
was very
happened.
close.
And Zach Nurberger has another off-track, Sam, and he's just going to drive it on down the back road, and I'm not exactly sure that there's nothing over there. And Zach has towed to the pits after his multiple off-track incident.
Yep, I think he's realised that another incident is close to the race. I may as well just call it right there. As Brad McCombs has had an incident as well. Let's find out where he is. He's showing up in red, and it said he's had a crash. I bet you he hasn't had a crash. He's just slowed it down into the hairpin.
Yep. No, he's had another spin. Yeah.
Wow, he spin on the entrance to the hairpin. That's a unusual one. Probably hit the brake a bit too hard there.
Yep, I would imagine so.
So
meanwhile,
we're into the
Alexander and David Lehman they're going to continue this battle right to the very end.
They are. We are going to come to the final lap of this race, though. This is been a very quiet race for Dennis Diaz, despite the mistakes he's made. He's only made one mistake, and still he came out on top again. And as white flag is out in the air. Barney the flagman, the man that deserves a lot more credit than he gets, waves that white flag once again. And Dennis Diaz will collect his second race win of the night, barring any more mistakes here tonight. But again, this battle for second place still raging on right now as Hammonds runs wide and Lehman spins. What is going on here?
David Lehman had it. It was gifted to him, and somehow Alexander Hammonds was able to recover from his spin, and David Lehman. Oh, what a heartbreaking moment for David Lehman.
You just can't write these things, can you? It's just unbelievable as they are on their final lap right now. Dennis Diaz extends his gap even further. Alexander Hammonds has an off track, and while Lehman was trying to take advantage of that, goes for a spin himself, and now Jay Smart has had an incident as well. He's had another spin, as he's going to cost himself more time. Steve Rubens, who's only 1.5 seconds ahead of Tony Watson, but as he comes out of the final chicane and down towards the kink and the final hairpin, the night belongs to one man. He missed Scuba, had a horrible night in Suzuka, but this one has just fallen right into his lap here tonight as he comes out of the final turn. Across the line, Dennis Diaz makes it a clean sweep here at Sonoma.
Yeah, congratulations. Nice race. And a nice second place finish for Alexander Hammonds. Manages to hold off David Lehman for a good 3/4 of that race. Overcomes the late lap incident and still comes home on the podium.
Yeah, I'm just lost for words right now. That bit at the end between Hammonds and Lehman just beggars belief. Anyway, we're going to go straight to the interviews in just a second before we get ready to head on over to the Pro 4 Trucks broadcast on Extreme Sim TV. And you know what? It's not going to get any easier next week for these guys, JR, because next week they're off to the Charlotte Roval.
Yeah, you couldn't ask for a track more opposite of this one. That is a concrete-lined, exciting. It's like a mini Daytona, only there's no place to hide.
Nope. No runoffs or anything like that. At least at Daytona you got plenty of runoffs, but at the Charlotte Roval it's going to be a much different story. Anyway, he's still circulating around the track, by the way, so I don't know if he's going to be ready for an interview just yet. He's actually stopping out the line, so Dennis Diaz, I believe, will be ready for an interview, just setting up for a thumbnail, I think. No, he's going for burnouts. Why not? Didn't even know you could donut these cars, but clearly you can. So good racing all around. Lots of great battling again here in the Open Wheel for Amateur Series. Dennis Diaz getting the clean sweep of the night. Alexander Hammonds and David Lehman putting on probably the most entertaining battle of the night at the end there, but great goings on right there. And we're going to go and reach out to the top two in this one. Actually, might be top one because I don't see Alexander Hammonds.
Top one.
Yeah, it's going to be the top one. And JR, I'm going to give you the honour of speaking to the race winner tonight, and that's Dennis Diaz.
Congratulations, Dennis. Nice racing, nice clean racing. You mentioned in the between races that you were just going to keep it steady and keep it clean, and that's exactly what you did. How did things look from your perspective?
Sonoma's a lot sketchier than it looks. It's the car, you cannot put down any power until the car is already balanced, which is hard enough to do. But it actually turned out pretty good. I was expecting to have a lot bigger battles with David and Alex, but it seems like Alex had a really big problem at the beginning, and I just managed to sweep around them. I had a really good battle with Jay for a little bit going into turn one, but I think he had to slow down before that corner, so he had to let me by.
Yeah, well, you managed to run as we've called, you managed to run a Dennis race. Nice, clean, smooth, easy laps. Now, you said this track is very tricky and you can't get the power down. Next week, we go to something completely different. We go to the Roval. How do you expect that to play out?
I actually like the Roval a lot more than Sonoma, so it should be a little bit better. It's a lot more flowing, and you don't have to worry about putting power down too hard. The only issue is the curbs are like about as tall as a car, so if you hit them, you're gonna destroy the balance and probably spin.
Now, you started off 8th that second race, and you managed to climb your way with the help of a lot of off-tracks and incidents, and you had a couple of incidents of your own very uncharacteristically. Is that just one of those things with Sonoma? You don't usually have incidents like that.
Yeah, that was a little strange, but as I said, it is Sonoma, and it's you can't I don't know how to explain it, but it was pretty difficult. Basically, the car is very twitchy. If you do one wrong thing, it will just spin on you, and there's nothing you can do to recover other than spinning it back around.
Well, this has really gained you a lot of points in the championship race and put you right back up there in contention. We wish you the best of luck in the rest of the races, and we look forward to seeing you again next week. And once again, Dennis, who you want to thank for putting you in victory lane tonight?
So the usual suspects, friends, family watching: Sebastian, Josh, Fernando, the brothers, my girl Marcella, and everyone else that has been watching. You guys for broadcasting as usual, Mark and all the admins for hosting the league, and hopefully to many more races and wins. And let's see if we can get another championship under the belt.
Well, congratulations, Dennis. We look forward to seeing you and talking to you again next week at the Roval.
Thank you.
So that was Dennis Diaz joining us from Victory Lane. Obviously, we're not going to get an interview with Alexander Hammonds, unfortunately, but definitely it's a long track, and people often criticize Sonoma for putting on boring races, and in some respects I can agree with that, but tonight actually was a bit different. There was a lot of action out there tonight.
Yeah, you know, I was almost looking forward to a nice, calm, easy race, and I saw that there was only going to be 15 cars. I was really hoping for more, but it did not disappoint. There was something happening at every turn. A lot of them were innocent, mild off tracks, but it provided for a lot of action and a lot of good racing and a lot of unusual dive bombs.
Yeah, it was, and it was the battling we saw between David Lehman and Alexander Hammonds that really put on the show in the second race. Other little battles as well with Steve Rubens, Tony Watson and Brad McCombs. That was a good little battle we saw earlier on as well. But again, we're moving on from one difficult track to a track which will literally rip wheels off next week. They're just going from one extreme to another every time. Well, the further we go on into the season.
Yeah, next week the Roval should be exciting. I had my first race there was in the Mazdas, and I wasn't exactly sure how to get out of pit road. That's how confusing that tight little twisty infield section can be. So it should be some great racing, especially with these cars.
Yeah, and we look forward to it anyway. Well, you can look forward to it. I unfortunately will not be here next week. Obviously, I'm making a big move to another country, so I'm after E4A. I will be away for a while, but I will be back. So don't
1 week. We're going to give him 1 week, ladies and gentlemen.
If you can give me money to get a computer in 1 week, I'll be very impressed. Anyway, but I will be back anyway. But I'll have one more broadcast on Wednesday at the Hungaroring. We'll definitely put on a great show for that one. I know, JR, you'll want to be on the track for Hungaroring to see how that one fares for yourself. Brand new track on Wednesday. But before we do that, let's go to the results for tonight's race and see where everybody finished in the feature. And coming home with a victory tonight was Dennis Diaz, taking a clean sweep of both races. Alexander Hammonds coming home in second place with David Lehman in P3. Jay Smart in P4 and Steve Rubens rounding out your top 5. In P6, we have Tony Watts with Stephen Thompson in P7, with Brad McCombs in 8th, Zachary Purcell in P9, Zachary Steck after an early incident, still getting a top 10 out of that one tonight, with Zachary Nurnberger, Zachary Maxson, Daniel Barnett, Carl Smith and Mark Dillon Jr. not making it to the end of the race. So that is how it fares after the first race. That is going to do it for us here tonight here on the Pony Express Sim Racing channel. Great racing all around. Looking forward to seeing what they can do in the GTs on Wednesday. But for now, from myself, Sam Cavani, from my broadcast partner, Mr. JR Cup, the master of mediocrity, we will bid you good night and farewell. And as always, keep it clean, keep it green. Good night.